Yes.
Okay, okay, yeah. So we can start the first like queue reconstruction by height. We are given a random list of. It's first question was like 404 error we were getting.
Yeah,
So
but if you look at the lead code 558, it is the same question.
so if some you want to share like because I haven't I thought 404.
Okay, I can share, but I haven't completely coded that though. No problem.
Okay.
I can share it.
Yeah, just read it. I mean, if somebody have.
Sure, I'll do that. Yeah, so this is the question. Logical OR of two binary grids represented as quad trees. And they have given the explanation of what a quad tree is. So quad
Okay.
tree is nothing but it's a node, okay? And like a binary tree, we have only two nodes. So this one has four nodes. Okay, one is the top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. And this is the default constructor. You set the value false and the leaf will be false. So there are two actually uh, member variables. One is for the value of the node and other if the node is leaf or not. So another constructor one is like we have some value and if the leaf is true or false, right? And they have another constructor where you actually can assign different values for leaf as well as value and for all other nodes. So some nodes might be null, some nodes won't be null. So this is the way you can do it. Okay, and then they actually, it's slightly confusing to understand also. So what it expects is now we are given two quad trees, quad one and quad tree one and quad tree two. So quad tree one actually represents the n by n binary matrix, okay, and quad tree two represents an n by n binary matrix. So we need to return a quad tree representing n by n binary matrix, which is a result of logical bitwise OR of the two binary matrices represented by the Qt1 and Qt2. So then they have given the conditions like notice that if we can assign the value of a node to true or false when leaf is false and both are accepted. So when the leaf is false, so you can assign true or false to the value of the node, right? So that is what they are trying to say. A quad tree is a tree data structure in which each internal node has same thing what I described, right? It has four nodes and everything. So this is what the construction is and all these things. So if we look at,
A very big story. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of details in it. So he's saying like if this is the example one. Okay, so if you look at it, this is the way it is represented. So this is the top left, okay, then top right, then top bottom left and bottom right. Correct. So we need to actually use these two trees and actually give an output something like this. Okay. So
It's a bitwise OR of the two matrices, first one and the above
yeah,
one, right?
right. So I will just so the way I have written actually looking up the idle discussion, it's slightly easier to understand when you look at the implementation details. But I'll just go
Yeah.
for one of the solutions which I found very easy to explain. So
Yeah.
this is the most common one which people are using here. So if you see, this is the function, okay, entry function. We have quad tree one and quad tree two. Oh, now if we have to find an intersection, okay, so we need to find which of them are common, correct? So if
Hmm.
quad tree one is null, we return quad tree two. That is the base condition because this is a recursive function.
Hmm.
And quad tree two is null, you return quad tree one. And if both have, if query is leaf and it has some value, so return query 1, right? So when we are actually intersecting two trees, right? So if one is at a leaf, so other might be a bigger one. So if we want to have an intersection, we need to have the one which is a smaller one, correct? So
Exactly.
therefore we get query 1 here, and similar thing for query 2. And at the last condition of the is leaf, if both are leaf, then you can then return anyone. Okay, so that doesn't have any problem. And then if you don't find any of these, then actually you go and do recursion for each and every, find each and every top left, top right, keep on passing all of them for a new node. Okay, and then if all the values of them are 1, okay, so then you can actually return node true true. Okay, so that is the value, right? So you can return any value. So true, and then the leaf will also be true. Okay, or else both of them will be false and it will have these values. Okay, so in this case the leaf is this is not a leaf node, so it is some passing node, and therefore if you say the leaf is always here false. So it's a recursive way. That is what the whole representation is. Okay, so yeah, it's slightly tricky to understand. It took some time also for me, but the way I did and I'm explaining, I found this much easier. I
The
just
more
implemented the
intuitive.
other way, yeah. But all of them actually come to this. So the way I was doing earlier was started with this query null, any of them null return null, or if you have a leaf 1, okay, then return that for the Q1, Q2, and if both are leaves, then you return any one. But then it started getting more, confusing over here. I didn't understand this condition, why someone had used it. But it works. If I just remove that condition, it doesn't work. So almost similar constructions for many of them.
Recursive.
Yeah, so this is the way I actually looked at it. It took some time for me to understand. So if someone has a better representation of someone implemented it, yeah, I would encourage them to actually share it.
I
But
didn't really try this one. I thought this is not there, so I skipped this question.
oh no, this is there. Actually, it's a binary tree, but you are having 4 nodes. So I also thought it might not be that complex, but if you look at even if the implemented code, it's somewhat it doesn't match our logic, the normal logic what we think for a binary tree. It is almost there, but in some cases, as I showed you, right? So this becomes slightly, I didn't understand this at all, why he's using, and therefore I first showed you guys the other one, which was more popular, people using that way. So because actually, see, if you were returning null here for the both trees, and one tree is leaf you're returning, that is fine. This logic also is okay, or this also is fine. But then why are you returning here when you say query 1 is leaf? Okay, then you return query 2, because I thought like if whichever tree has a leaf, it means that is one shorter. So you need to return that leaf first, right? That tree first. So this actually didn't match my understanding as well as this one. So I just left it. Yeah, but it's not easy also. Maybe I didn't
Yeah.
understand it properly, something like that. Yeah. Okay.
If the quad tree is a leaf, then um, you still have to recurse on the other quad tree. If one of the quad tree is a leaf, right? Then you have to go down the other quad tree.
But then why in this condition here we are looking at like it is a leaf and it has some value, okay? Then we are returning the same here, right? And the same thing happens for quad tree 1 also.
Yeah, that's the part I don't understand. Like after the return, can you go down to where they get the value? Like after the recursion.
Or you are saying the other one which I just showed you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is also slightly tricky, but yeah, so this one, right?
Yeah. So,
So what I read in this case, this is the one slightly confusing, right? In this one. So when you have all the values of each and every node, but I think what is, yeah, he's looking at the leaves, you know, he's looking at the other node, the current node is node. No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
the node, let me ask you this, the node, like after you call intersect, if it's a leaf, then what do you return? What's gonna get set to the node?
So if it is a leaf, then actually this is what it returns.
Both are true. Like,
It's
Yeah.
gonna
So
get set to true, right?
so this true means it is leaf, and this is the value actually. So when you get a leaf, then you are returning this one, because actually when it is leaf, it doesn't matter what these values are, correct? So they should all be null because it is a leaf. Because you are going to have all nulls, right? Like in a binary tree, when it is leaf, its left and right are all null.
yeah.
And then actually it comes here, but then this value is like false and true is, yeah, it's okay. And now here, this is not leaf, therefore this is false, and therefore it is actually pushing all these values. But then again, he also says, right, in the false and true values, it can be either of it. So it doesn't matter that. So what is the
Yeah.
question about intersection with bitwise ORing? So things are not very clear, but yeah, maybe we need to actually get
I
more
just
into it. Yeah.
try to like think what happens in the case, the specific example where one of the leaf, let's say, is um one is a leaf, let's say for quadtree 1, and then for quadtree 2, it's not a leaf yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, what happens is the quadtree 2, you have to keep going. So, right. So in one of the quadtree, you will return no because it's already a leaf, but the other one that's not a leaf, right? You have to um.
Go down. Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, it's saying that. Wait, sorry. I think is a leaf and is equal to no pointer is different case. So if it's a leaf, right, then you have to check if it's all ones. Quadtree 1 value, that means every element in that quadtree is a 1. So then you return the quadtree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
So
that's
if it is one and if it is a leaf, then you return it. Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
then
I got
makes sense.
confused. The
Yeah.
no case is different, I guess. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then that makes yeah. And therefore it is here in this case, if it is not null, this value is not if
Yes.
it is false, then actually you come down, right? Then you can recurse the whole tree again for the other side also. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Because then the other tree may have a 1, which
right.
case yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. It takes some time to understand though. Yeah. No problem. Thanks for the clarification. Okay. I'll just stop sharing. Yeah.
So next question we can start, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a like queue reconstruction by the height. We are given a random list of people standing in a queue, and each person is described by a pair of integers h comma k, a couple of values where h will be the height of a person and k is the number of people in front of this person who have a height greater than or equal to h. We need to write an algorithm to reconstruct the queue, and your number of people will be less than 1,100, 1,100. Yeah. So if we see here, so like if you see the index, we have to increase in the increasing order of height you have to place. So here for the first position, these two candidates are there, 7,0 and 5,0. 0 means that you don't need to have any candidates on the left of 5 or on the left of 7. But between these two, 5 is the smaller, so 5 will be coming here. Next, you'll pick this only because you don't need to have anything on the left of it, so 7 will come. And after that, you'll pick 1 because 1, I mean, the potential candidate is this, and 6,1 and 5,2, but among them the minimum is 5, so it will come here, and two elements will be greater than equal to 5, that is 7 is greater than 5 and 5 equal to 5, so this is its position. And then for 6,1, one element to the left should be greater than 6, that is 7 you are having. And for 4,4, it's, I mean, index is 4, so 4 elements should be greater than on the left side of this, what do you say, this 4,4. And then 7, one element should be greater than equal to, that is 7 you are having here. So yeah, so any queries here in the question?
So in the output for this example, so
Yeah.
instead of 50, you can also have 70 as the first element, right? That should not be a problem.
Yeah, here it should, but
No.
That will be a problem for 50.
Yeah.
How?
Why?
Okay, because it doesn't have anything before that. Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
I didn't get.
No, I was saying that instead of 50, you can also have 70, but then Praveen said it is not, it is exactly what it is, because if we had 70 and 50 behind it, then 50 instead of 50, it should be at least 51.
Yeah.
Or 52, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's,
52.
yeah.
So I wanted to ask that for any given configuration, there would always be an answer, right?
Yeah.
Or is it possible to not have an answer also?
It's not mentioned anything, but they are telling us to.
Yeah, you can't assume as well as there is nothing mentioned. That's a really interesting question. Yeah.
If we kind of try to tweak this example, had it been 80 instead of 50,
80, okay.
then I don't think we would have been able to, obtain a configuration, the reconstruction.
Instead of 5080, right? Okay, let me quickly here and see what it says.
70 will come ahead of.
Yeah,
50.
it gives, still it gives. And 80 is the very last one, yeah. Yeah. So I think it automatically adjusts, and maybe it is always, there is some sequence which is the valid one. Or maybe if you can just, think of some test case which is very weird.
So if it instead of 70, we have 50 there, then it would not be a valid solution.
I mean, swapping, you are selling 50 with 70.
No, not swapping. Just like instead of 70, we have 50.
You mean 250?
Yeah, because when we see 61, then it's not satisfied.
70 and 50. Okay, both 50s, right? Yeah. Let me see what it says.
Yep.
Yeah, actually it crashes. Yeah, so even if I put 7 instead of 70, if we put a 73 or something, then it crashes. It literally crashes.
So I think the inputs have all the true positive cases.
Yeah. So actually, yeah.
So in this example, the output, I mean, if the first value was 70 and the second was 50, I mean, is it wrong?
Yeah. No, actually, it doesn't come at all, because it will.
It is
this is the right
wrong.
one. Yeah, it's the wrong output, so it won't.
But it satisfies the condition what they mentioned, right? Because
No.
no.
So when 70 is before that, so if you have 50, so it means that at least there are 0 elements which are greater than or equal to 5, but that is wrong condition, right?
Oh, when
We have
it's
one.
0, okay, okay, wait,
Yeah.
okay, it says that. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's so weird. If you have an invalid test case, the whole thing crashes. They're
Oh.
not gracefully handling it.
So that means there's only one possible answer.
Yeah, it's only one valid possible answer. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
corresponding to this case, we have one. We can't have like multiple answers. I mean, for other test cases, I'm saying. Or only one possible arrangement for each test case.
yeah. So how do we actually implement it?
Yeah.
So what is your take on that?
Like first what I initially was trying like sorting them, but sorting was creating a mess. Like sometimes you'll have, I mean, this order, it's very tough to follow. So I created indexes. Like,
Sorted is based on the height.
first value.
Okay.
And then what I'll do, like I'll have to show it. Value 7. I mean, I'll first mark these positions. Like this is your 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll sort it based on the height, whatever number it is, and whatever index is this. Let's say if your index is 1, I'll initialize my count variable with the index, and whenever I find the correct position, the moment I find that the correct position comes, this count will be made to 0, and I'll put it at that particular place. I think I'll have to switch this example.
Sorry, couldn't follow.
Yeah.
Would you please repeat again?
I think what I was saying, let's say here 7,2 is there, right? So I can't place it as the first. I'll make the count, whatever this index is, I'll make it as a count. So 7 is not a good position for this. Let's say for some other condition, like it might be violating. So I'll reduce its count. Again, this position might not be fit for this. I'll reduce this count. The moment I hit 0, then I'll put that 7 at this condition, at this index, which will
Are you
state
sorting
that
on descending or ascending order?
So that's a
in
potential
ascending order.
position for this guy, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the two elements are greater than 7, which are at these two positions.
So you started sorting based on height first, right? I mean, the second one, which is the K. How many people are before me?
No, first position.
Okay. If
And
you
then
first position, then 7 will never be in the front. 5 will come or 4 will come.
Yeah, I'm saying 7 will never come in front. That's why I'm reducing my count by 1. It's not a potential position for that 7. So 2 will be reduced to 1. It's not the exact example I'm taking from example. I'm saying just hypothetical condition, like when would I place this element at the given position? If I find,
is it possible for us to take the exact input and just go through?
Yeah, sure. It's like if you can input, if you can tell, because I'll have to.
Yeah, sure. Okay. It is 7-0.
Sorted in ascending order, you tell.
Oh, you want to sort it in ascending order? Okay. So 7071.
Okay, 70.
71.
71.
61.
61.
5052.
5052.
44.
Okay.
Ascending order of what?
What is that order?
So actually, see, it is a descending order of the first one, but when we have two of the same value, so in of the height, then you look for the second in what you say the parameter.
Index.
That should be ascending.
Exactly.
Okay, so you are saying that the descending on the first and ascending on the second.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I use like ascending on the first and then it will go to the second. I mean,
So you want it
both are
that
same.
way? Yeah, but
Yeah,
this
it's
way is
okay.
also.
But how that will work if you go ascending with the first?
So ascending with the, so at first position I'll take this because I mean my count is 0 and I don't have any element, what do you say, 0 element to the left of it, right? So this is the potential position for first one, right?
Yeah, so whatever
Now,
you are comfortable, you do with that. Okay, no problem. You want me to change that?
okay. No, it's okay. I'll from here only. I mean, I'll delete and I'll put it here. So now next will be like, if I go by ascending, I'll take this, right? 4, 4. So my potential position will be this. Now my indexes are like this: 0, 1,
Shashank,
3. Yeah.
sorry, could you please start from scratch, because the beginning will be 4, 4, then 5, 0, then 5, 2, 6, 1, 7, 0, 7, 1, right?
Yeah. Sure. I can start from. So
Let us start from 0. Can we start from a new scratch pad?
Okay, sure. So mine is like first 4, 4, then 5, 0, right? And then 5, 2 it was. After that, 2, 5, 0, 5, 2, 6, 1. Sorry, 6, 1, 7, 0,
6, 1, 7, 0,
7, 1. Right? So
Yeah,
position
4, 4,
like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Total 4 positions are there. So first these elements comes, right? So
6
count is
position,
equal
right?
to.
So total 6. So you'll have another 5. The last one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
4,
5. Yeah. Okay.
6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So I'll start from 4. So definitely this will not be exact position of what you say. 4 won't be the position for this one because our index is not matching with it. So I'll go to even 3. This will also not be a good one. Then 2, 1, and then so 4. It won't be here. It won't come here. It won't come here.
What are you doing? You are going too fast.
Like the moment my count becomes 0, I'll put it at that particular position.
So you're looking for the index with the second value, right? Looking at the second value, you're putting in the index. Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of reducing, we can just put it at the 4th index, right? Because we have that index 4.
Yeah, it will reach automatically to 4 only because at that point only it will be made to 0.
So you are inserting or you are replacing or swapping or something?
I'm just putting, I'll put 4, 4 over here.
I think let Shashank explain the entire code and then we can ask.
No, it's yeah. So first I took this index, okay? And this, since this index, the position index where I want to place, that doesn't match with this, so I'll reduce it by 1. It will go to 3. Doesn't match, and it will go to 2. It doesn't. I mean, till we hit that this counter is equal to 0 at that particular position, I'll go and place it. I get the next example when I'll give, then it will be a bit more clear. Now let's take the first one. So we have only 0 element, like 0 itself. We'll start again from the starting index. Here itself, my index is 0, so I'll put this one here. So it shows that only 0 elements are greater on the left to its 5, which is satisfied here, right? To the left of 5, we don't have any element greater than 5. So this got done. Now you pick this one, 5. So now my count is 0. So if I might, can we put this 5,2 at index 1?
No.
We can't put because we need to have 2 elements greater than 5 on the left of it, right? So we can't even put it at this. So this is made to 1. Now, can we put here? Here also we can't put because at least we need to have, again, 2 elements we need to have. It will have only 1 element. So the moment it becomes 0, it will reach here. At this position, I'll put 5,2.
Right.
Yeah, and then if we go for 6,
I think it should be at the second position, right?
It can be equal also, right?
can be equal. Oh, equal is also there, right?
Yeah.
Should it be at second? This one.
Yeah, second.
It should be at second, I think, right? Because you reduce the point that count from the first one where it is 0.
Yeah, sure. It should be here then. Because from 0 to 1 it got reduced to 1, and from 1 to 2 it got
Reduced to
0 at
0.
this place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we'll take 6 1, right? So for 6 1 again it will be made to 1. Then 6 1. So at this position you can't do. So when you shift from here it will be 0. So mm, 6 1. My count was 1, right?
I think you should place it at index 3.
Pardon?
You should place it at index 3, right? Because 6 1 means either we can get next height of either 6 or 7, for which we need to leave one empty index. So which was index 1, so we need to place it at index 3.
Right.
But, it is not satisfying mine, no.
Mm, yeah.
basically
His
you
logic is
decrement
not
count.
satisfying.
No, I think it's right. So you decrement count only when you find either an empty space or a person with a greater height.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you start for 6 1, you do not decrement count when you see 5 0. But when you see this one index which is empty, you will decrement count because this would be occupied by a larger height person in the future. So you decrement count. Next you move to 5 2. Here it is not vacant, so you do not decrement count. Now you move to index 3. So here you see a vacant space, and now you decrement count to 0, and here you fill the person.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense. So I think let me start from beginning one.
No, that's fine. You actually just change that, right? Wherever you have. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Where is that? I think it's one.
Okay.
So shall I proceed again or I think let's start from once more. It will be clear to me also.
Okay, so I'll quickly tell you what the values are. First is 4 4.
Okay.
Then 5 0.
Okay.
Then 5 2. 6 1.
Okay.
Then 7 0 7 1.
Yeah. Okay. So this is my 0, 1
till 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5.
4, 5. Yeah. So here I have an empty space. So 4 will be reduced to 3. Then it will go to next here. Again 1 and then 0. So 0 it will hit over here, I think. 4
Yeah.
comma.
No, actually it will go to the 4th place, right?
4. Yeah.
4.
This one.
Yeah.
Then only 4 elements will be greater than this.
Right.
Now 5 comma 0. So 0 is my here empty. I mean, we don't have any. Now coming to 5 2. First empty space is here. So it will reduce by 1 and it will go to here. Again, so I think 5 comma 2 will be placed at third position.
No, right? Because when you are counting from the 0th position, the 5 is same as 5, right? So you can decrement the counter there also, right? At the 0th
whenever the
position.
elements are equal.
Yeah. Is it not that we discussed now? So then it will come to 5, correct? Yeah. Okay.
Shashank, one quick question here that so when you are finding the index or decrementing it, are you actually keeping the track that how many number of bigger element so far?
He's actually looking at the height at the position, if there is anything filled. If they are the same height, then he considers that as a count.
Okay.
I mean, either the height is same, or if it's greater or empty, then only I reduce the count, right?
Okay.
Now coming to this 6,1. So this we can't do. I mean, it's great. So we'll put 6. We'll try to put 6 here, but again, how will it go there?
So because your 5 is greater than 6, right? So you cannot go there in the 0th position. But then when you come to the first position, that's a valid candidate, but your count is 1. So therefore you decrement it, and then you go to the second one where it is 5, 2. You cannot put that because 5 is smaller than 6. Then you move to the third position where actually it is because your count becomes 0, so you can put it there. Correct?
6,1.
That is what Harshit was also explaining, correct?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now 7,0 is there. So I mean, this is the first empty place because
right.
Because 0 elements will be greater than that. And again, coming to 7,1, this is not the correct position. No. But here, if we reach, we can reduce by 1. This so 7.
Right. So at the very last end, so you can place 7,1 there. Yeah. Okay.
Could you explain again? How do you know where you put 6,1?
6,1. Okay. So this is initially my index is 1, right? But I have to check where the empty. Okay. So when you go to this place, this is not a good place. I mean, this place is already filled 5,0. Okay.
The 0th position was filled. Yeah.
Already filled. Now you'll go to the first position,
which was
at
empty
first.
At the time, yeah.
It was an empty space. So, but you can't fill it here because until I hit 0, I can't fill it at this place. Because anyways, if you fill 6,1 here, you have to check one element should be greater on the left side. So we can't fill 6,1 here. So I'll reduce it to 0, and this is already full. So you can't do anything. And next immediate step, which is vacant at this spot, this also my index becomes 0. So I am putting 6,1 at this third place.
Okay, so you need to keep track. What is the how many empty slots before that?
Actually, he looked at the height first.
Okay.
So that actually automatically gives him how many candidates are before it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So extra, we don't need to keep the track of height and all, like empty space. This gives you the intuition for that.
So the other way people are doing, like, sorry, go ahead, Praveen.
Yeah. What about that? I mean, if with the 6,1, there is a 6,0 there already. So that will come and that will fill this place, right? The first place.
Instead of
First
6,0,
place.
you are saying 6,1.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm saying that if there is one more input, 6,0,
it will crash. It is an invalid input. I just checked it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to actually find the intuition that, I mean, how actually, I mean, whatever input we have. So looks like, I mean, so far I'm not able to find any some sort of a connection here.
Yeah. So the way other way people are implementing, what they do is you first sort it in a descending order with the height. And whenever you find the heights are same, then you actually sort them with the second parameter, which is the count, right? Or the whatever that value in an increasing order. So when you do that, and then actually you can actually start traversing the whole list, and then you start inserting it. But when the condition only to insert in this time is you look at the very beginning position, and then you add the second value to that.
Santosh, can we please start from scratch? Because I don't know, it is just, I'm not able to follow otherwise. If we can start from scratch, probably that becomes very clear. If you can run through it once.
Sure, yeah, but actually, I just explaining that. So So is it okay, Shashank, I to show you that, or just you want to
Yes.
first share the course? Because I just said this is another way. So this one is actually he has done it, so he can actually show the code also.
LeetCode has a neat graphical diagram on this.
And the solution one?
In the solution, your description of solution.
In the solution.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that is what I followed. So if you just go there. Okay, I will share it, no problem. So the greedy approach one, right?
Oh, nice one.
Yeah. So what they are saying, this is the output actually, the input and output. So the way it starts with like this, the list is already sorted in a descending order, and when you have the second indexes, they are actually in the ascending order, right? So this is the way it will happen for the first two elements. Okay. So then in the third case, when you get another one, which is a 6 one, okay, you have like this. So then in that case, you actually, what you do is, you have already filled first two, then you insert 6 one in between that. So for doing what you do is actually look at the beginning, whatever is the value at the beginning, and you just add that index, and then you insert at that location. So you're actually inserting the result list is empty first, but then you keep on inserting it. And then you have this. Okay, so you want to run through this? Okay.
Nice expression.
Yeah, so the first comes here, so this one, then it will move here. Okay, so this is what happens. So what I found is, first actually they, sort this way, right? See, so they have sorted it. This is the way it is sorted. Sort with the increasing height, but if the heights are same, then this second parameter is in the ascending order. And whenever you are putting, you take with the first one, you put that guy over here in the first location. When you go for the second, you put it here. But when you come for the third one, you look at the index of this one, and then you add to the beginning of that array, and then you find a location. Then you insert it. So this one goes in between that. So when you come to 50, so 50, if you add, start with the array, starting of the index array, so it will be before this. Therefore, 50 comes here.
It's not that the flavor of insertion sort.
So something like that, yeah. So when you go to 5-2, actually it will go 1, 2 here. So it will go after this one right now. So it will come here. Yeah. Then when you go to 4, then you actually add that to the index of that array. So 0, 4 will come here. So then it will be added here. Right. So then the 7th one is pushed at the end. So it is insertion sort. But only it's a special insertion sort, which you have the sorting. The condition is like if it is greater than or equal to this for the first height, and if they are same, then you will have it in ascending order. So this for the descending and this for the ascending, and then that's all. You just keep on inserting it. And when you are inserting in an array, you always look at the position of that array, and you add that index value to this position, and then you insert your value.
This begin value doesn't change, so even if we remove it, it works.
So it's a begin value of the vector, right? So
yeah, so it's always 0. Yeah. So you can, even if you remove it, it will work.
So it's a beginning iterator value. So yeah, so it's I think it's the pointer, right? So
what is the link of this question with the queue reconstruction? Why queue they have used?
Because they are standing in a queue.
You are making the
Yeah.
queue.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
got it. Yeah. Got
just
it.
just to confuse you.
Maybe
the
they
best
just
queue.
hit on something like a practical world solution somewhere, and they found out it might be more interesting to confuse people and see how they can perform. But
Yeah, I thought queue data structure somewhere we are not using, but why they are saying queue reconstruction by hand.
no,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah,
this
it's.
insert function, this also takes care of the rearrangement.
I'm sorry.
I'm asking that this insert function on line 12. So
Mhm.
does this also take care of the rearrangement part?
Yeah. Because every time, whenever you insert any value, it compares. Actually, it adds that value, that is the index value of the second parameter, to the beginning of the array, the vector array, right? And therefore, when that is used for finding the location where this value is going to be.
Okay.
So Santosh, looks like this is a n square solution, right?
Yeah.
So if we actually don't sort it,
It will be
so
2
it
n
will be
log n,
same,
right?
right?
Why? How it is
Yeah,
2?
n log n.
N log n plus n square.
No, it will be n square when you are inserting, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
inserting, so it's actually shifting everything.
Yeah.
N square.
Because
Adding to the list, not traversing the whole list, I think.
But rearrangement also takes place, right? For
yeah.
a particular site.
You don't know where, if you will put the element at the first place, so it will impact all the elements.
Right. So basically, if the index is already filled, we have to rearrange also. That takes O of n in worst case.
I think the Shashank solution might be of at least of n log n.
So if we don't sort that, so even in that case, it will work, right? Without sorting?
No, because
No.
you have to have that in a particular order. Then only you can insert it.
Yeah. So basically, this is a greedy approach. Like we are
Right.
setting the larger height person first, and then we are moving to the shorter ones. So for that, we need to sort.
Yeah. If you don't sort it, then inserting will be a big headache. You will have to keep account of what index it is and what is the height, and then you'll have to count everything. But then in that case, I would say what Shashank was explaining, even though it's very difficult to understand, but that will be a very efficient way of implementing.
So I coded the way
But in
Shashank.
my case also, when I was inserting
We are
the, I'm
sorting in that approach also,
going
right?
from
No, his sorting is slightly different. He's actually sorting in a ascending for both of them.
Yeah, but n sort n log n, it will take for that, and then again for comparing and going to and fro, it will be the same thing.
Because he's actually just placing it at every index. He was actually explaining you when for us actually he was decrementing the count, but he can directly find the index when he has to place it, right? Based on the logic.
count is Raja.
So that will be an O of n, I think.
No, I think he needs to compare.
No.
He needs to see the empty or the value. So
Yeah.
directly he cannot find.
Yeah, it would be. I mean,
I can
every
share
time
the
I
code.
visit the entire.
Someone actually
You have done it? Okay.
called
I'll
the
just
insert.
sure you
And
can show
Oh,
it.
yeah, sure.
yeah, someone actually tried to solve that insert away. I mean, since it is happening in n square, someone actually tried to use a bit, segment tree and tried to find the index where it is actually has to be inserted. And they reduced the time from n square to n log n.
And, but segment tree again, extra space it will take no.
So this is how I've done. So I've initially sorted this array on the basis of height, and if the height are same, I've sorted on the basis of ascending order of the second parameter. So for example, if I have 50 and 51, then 50 comes ahead. So this is done in line number 16, and this is the comparator function on line number 4 till 11. Now I've maintained a answer 2D vector where I've initialized every value as -1. So -1 shows that the space is unoccupied. So now what I do is I pick the person from the sorted sequence, that is people of I, and I keep its count in the count variable. Now I've done exactly what Shashank explained, that if the count is 0 and the space is vacant, then I simply put that person in that vacant space. Otherwise, if the space is vacant and the person which is there has a greater height, then I decrement the count. This is the else if part. So at some time I would get a vacant position and the count would be 0, and that is where I'll put the person. So this so at the end it would be in a sorted way.
Okay.
So it will also like sorting will take n log n, and then 2 for loops is
Yeah, this is also n square.
yeah.
N log n plus n square.
Sorting is just making easier, no time improvement. Like
No.
So
But
what
I
is
don't
the
think we can do.
brute force for this one?
I don't think so.
that will be more like intricate. Yeah,
more difficult to implement.
We try all the combinations. We try all the combinations of the input and see if it validates the conditions.
N factorial, no, it's like
Okay. But if we have a big array, then it might be a problem.
We can also try doing it by recursion, right?
That's why they mentioned that 1 to 100, so you can have a pen and paper and draw everything. Visualize the thing.
that will be
Not a good question.
Because you are not understanding.
No, I do understand, and I do have some
yeah.
sort of a brute force in my mind. I don't know whether that will work or where it will fail, but I mean, in terms of some intuition, logic.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
what
I
I
had
mean
a
is,
same a problem, like, you know, I couldn't get intuition. I tried a brute force, but it gave a TLE. Yeah, on,
Yeah, brute force definitely will get the TLE.
Yeah. So what were you doing in the brute force?
Yeah, so for brute force, what I'm thinking that let's take the input and put the input at correct in the output, then pick the second one and check that, let's say it's 4, 4. So we know that we need 4 element before this element. So let's put, but we don't have the 4 element. Let's put the last element in that output array, then pick the next one. So it's a 7, 1. So it requires only 1 element should be ahead of this bigger than or equal to. So that will go in between these 7, 0 and 4, 4. And at the same time, you have to keep track that whatever we have in the output array is still valid. If it's not valid, take it off and put that in the input back.
Yeah, a lot of iteration.
right.
but that's not a brute force, right? That will be a very optimized version. Brute force, I was thinking like you create all the permutations and whatever combinations, and then you put in the positions, and then you see if it's valid.
No, that's a brute force in terms of that, because when you are putting in outputs, you are taking it back again, because you cannot fix that if you put in out.
Yeah, like kind of backtracking.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can do anything like without sorting. I don't think
Sorting makes it easier. That element part, like how many elements.
Sortings make it easier, but at least what I was thinking that works with this example. So I'm not sure whether that will work with other or not.
Yeah. First of all, that was not an intuition to me at all. It was very difficult. Yeah, I just looked at the solution and it took some time to understand the greedy approach also. Yeah, but then I found that was easier to understand when I actually at least know it.
This doesn't cause other medium. I don't know why there's a medium.
But I actually, Harshit and Shashank brought a good one. Actually, that is a different way of thinking. So
I also
that was
couldn't
some
think of
learning.
greedy at first.
Yeah.
Actually, Hint suggests us to start solving from the smaller height.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the Hint asks us to solve for the try for the smallest person, try to fill that, and then you got the correct position for that person, then try to solve for the next smaller position, like smaller height person, like that.
Oh, I didn't know that. But the solution says something different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Uday was saying something about segment tree. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate on
Okay.
that?
Yeah, that
Yes.
would be interesting.
Share it something. There is not here.
Easy, yeah.
What will be the time complexity for recursive solution?
For which one?
Praveen, yours, if it's a brute force, the way you said, like use a recursion and backtracking.
Yeah.
That will definitely n square, right?
Yeah, it will be n square.
Every time you are filling one position only, right?
I think n factorial.
It should be n factorial.
But then
Why do you think that's n factorial?
No, you could use memoization there, right? Something like a
No, that is there. But the
Arrangement
brutest
also matters, no? Where you are placing. I mean, ascending should come, smaller one should come first, and that also you have to take care. So that arrangement part, if n
I
space
think it
is
will be somewhere between n square and factorial.
Okay.
That is a very greater bound, large bound.
Yeah.
It's very tough. It's not clear, like.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, Uday was talking about the segment tree, and I think we are not able to communicate with him. Yeah. So maybe when he comes back, we can talk about that. Segment tree is something. Yeah.
One thing I was thinking is, has anybody thought through like grouping the inputs and trying to distribute according to the conditions? What I mean by that is, suppose we create the digest. Say we have got a 4 which should be placed after 4 bigger or equal elements. We have got 2 7s. One should be placed at what I mean by that is a map which starts with 7 and it has 2 entries. One can go at 0th position, though the other one can go at first position. There are 2 5s, 0 and 2, 1 6. So with that, if we start with the ascending order, we'll first check at 4 4 because that is the smallest element we are starting with, and we know that okay, it needs at least 4 elements of 4 or greater to go before the 4 elements of 4 or greater to go before it. So let us leave it. Next comes is 5, and it has one entry which can go first because it doesn't need anybody to go before it. It is basically 0. So we can just push that to our output. Then go to the 6, and 6 says 1, and we don't have anything in the queue which is at least 6, so we cannot handle that. Let's go to 7. 7 has got one entry which can go first. So right now at that intermediate state, we have got the output 5 0 and 7 0. Next, so now we already exhausted. Let's go to the second loop until the map is completely exhausted. So in the second loop, we'll again look at 4 4. We don't have 4 elements in the output yet, so leave that. Let's go to 5 2. Right now we have got 5 and 7, which are more than 5. So 5 2 can go. Then we'll look at 6 1. We have got several. Okay, 6 1 is where we'll have to again go back in the output. That will increase the. I was just thinking like
No,
this.
no, that's correct. Actually, 6 1 is correct. You are on the right path, yeah. Because 6 1 will go now, right? Then you will go to the next loop,
which is 7
no,
1.
then, yeah, that won't be there, right?
Which is 7 1, and looks like we have already 1 7 gone, so 7 1 can go in.
No, it won't go in because it is greater than, right?
So now Rajinder, as you process the 6-1, so now 6-1 will be the third element, right?
No,
Fourth.
6-1 will be, I lost it. We'll
The
have
fourth one, yeah, because you completed 5-2.
No, the 5-2 cannot go because, okay, yes,
It can
you're
go,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, it can go. Yeah, sorry. 5-2 and, yeah.
Yeah, so if 7-1 went, the only thing that remained was 4-4.
Yeah, so
We
that I was having the same issue with my brute force. So I thought that, I mean, let's reprocess the element which are not valid anymore.
No, but Rajendra, in this case, when you use a map, you'll be using an ordered map, correct?
Yes, correct.
So then you are doing again sorting only of n log n.
No, that is correct, but that was my intuition, because the other thing was somehow not. Anytime I get a problem where I can create a digest out of it and kind of create the output from there, I feel like more in control.
Oh, okay, yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's a good way of explaining.
With whatever you are thinking, Rajinder, so in that case, so 5-0 will go first, then 7-0 will go, then 6-1, and then 7-1, right?
No, 5-0, 7-0, 5-2.
No, why 5-2? Why not 6-1? Because after 0 you will process the 1, right?
No.
It's coming from below.
I am coming from a ordered map. So 4-4, 4-5-6-7. That is the order. So every time I end the loop, I again go and process from the beginning.
So the problem will be the last element. 4-4 will go last.
Yeah.
Yes, 4-4 will go last. So that is where maybe I'll have to work out a little bit, but I can see. So all I'm saying is, until there are 4 elements, because I'm anyway checking 4 before everything else, if at any given point of time, there are 4 elements greater than 4, I can pull it. Some kind of a priority queue. I don't know.
Yeah, that heap, but it won't, I think.
So you can maintain a visited set kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think if I can do that, that will be more intuitive.
Sure, yeah.
I think Uday is back or
Yeah, Uday, we were actually wondering if you can actually share us or talk something about that, the segment tree.
Yeah, I shared the link in the chat.
Okay,
I'll share it.
Yeah, please.
So someone tried to optimize the insert part. How they are trying to find the index at which they have to insert it instead of rearranging and these all.
The insert part they are doing using segment tree.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a huge. Yeah, the segment tree construction is a bigger one, right?
I mean, you can
Did you go through this code today? Can you give us a head start?
Yeah, there is some explanation as well. Okay.
I'll have to go through this.
I think Shashank, I think he wants to explain it, right? Right, Uday? You want to go through this?
I mean, I just point out that this can be optimized. I mean,
Maybe can you unshare it? He will try to share it, Shashank.
No, I'm not sharing. Harshit is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
And then let's move to the next one. Yeah.
So Uday is explaining, or shall we move?
Yeah, I think he's explaining, right?
Okay, then let's say go. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So as Seshank has explained, they try to create the queue in the same way. I mean, low to high, and they are taking the k and the high to low. So when they are trying to construct the array, they are trying to find whether there are any empty indexes, and they are trying to find the count like that. But instead of that, they have taken an array, and initially all are available. So whenever for the first one, it will be directly equal to that index, since I mean every slot is available. But from the next second time onwards, they are actually using the segment tree to find the index. So they are trying to take this as a cumulative sum, and whenever an element is whenever an slot is occupied, they are trying to change that value to 0, and they are trying to find where will be that index if the after updation. Hello.
Yeah,
To find the index you are using a segment tree.
Yeah. So initially all the slots are available. They're keeping the ones as they're available as 1 and unavailable as 0. So initially all the elements are ones, and for the first one, since whenever you are picking that slot, it will be equal to that for the first element. But for the
Right.
next element, they are trying to change that element at that index to 0, and they are for the next element onwards, for the for every h and k, they are trying to find that slot by the cumulative sum.
Yep. Yeah. That might be an optimized version, but yeah, the segment tree part is slightly complex. Maybe we'll have to go through it.
It works on what binary search or what segment tree. Look, code from code, it looks like that. Made they are calculating.
Yeah, so basically, the 0 to n is divided into every interval is divided into 2 halves.
Okay.
Similar to binary search itself.
Okay.
So this is like a cumulative sum, and they are trying to find out that index. They are trying to translate that index to cumulative sum.
Can you run through an example? Like, I don't understand how cumulative sum is being used.
Okay. Take this one itself, the slots.
Okay.
So 0 means unavailable and 1 means available.
Okay.
And we need to suppose a new element came with the height as some height h, and it needs to be inserted at the 5.
Okay.
So the cumulative sum becomes 5 at the sorry, I try to set it in a diverse way. So if you see that this is it needs to be inserted at the third slot.
Okay.
But some of these are intermediately occupied.
Okay.
So 1 means it's available and 0 means unavailable. So if you
Right.
see at the 5th index, the sum becomes 3.
5th index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Sum becomes 2, right?
No. 1, 2, 3.
So this is the 6th index. Okay, right, 5th index. Sorry.
Yeah. So they are equating that index and the cumulative sum as similar thing.
Okay. Wow. Nice. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So whenever some index get occupied, they are making that as 0, and they update that sum. They don't have to update that sum. For the next one, for the next query, it becomes cumulative sum.
Okay, so basically, the index for which the cumulative sum is equal, that is where I am putting the height.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can get this cumulative sum using the segment tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to go through it again.
Yeah, it is slightly complex because the segmentary part is not so easy to understand.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Uday.
Yeah, Shashank?
Yeah. We can go to next. So our next is minimize the malware spread too. So a network of nodes is given and they are directly connected. Node I is connected to node J if you find ij is 1. And some of the nodes are initially infected by the malware, and whenever two nodes are directly connected, and if one of those two nodes is infected by the malware, then both the nodes will be affected in that case. And this spread of malware will continue until no more nodes can be infected in this manner. And let's say they've given you m initial is the final number of nodes which are infected because of the malware in the entire network. After the initial spread of the malware, we'll remove one node from the initial list, completely removing it, and any connections from this node to any other node, just return the node that if removed would minimize m initial, and if multiple nodes could be removed to minimize this, return such a node with smallest index. So in this case, if you see, you won't find anything, so they are returning it as a 0, like 110, and again next to 110 and 001, and your first position is 01. So 01 will be 0th row and first, like this, at this one they are hitting. So you won't, so below this one is connected to this, and below this you'll find 0, right? So here you won't find that's the 0th, this you will find as a, node with the smallest index which won't be affected.
So does it say if we take initial as 0 and 1, so those are the one which will get infected, right? So so we need to first we need to run through them and see if how many are getting infected. Okay, and then the last statement, it says that you need to remove each one of them in the initial one by one and see how your initial is getting minimized, right? And so which one actually has the least impact, that node number you have to return, correct?
Return the smallest one.
Okay.
The smallest index.
Yeah. I just wanted to be very sure because I'm not able to very clearly understand that last part. Oh, sorry, go ahead with that second example.
Just same goes here, again if you select here 1, so all the three, like in this row what you'll find, all the three as 111, right? Like 110, 1111 and 011. So 01, if you see, you will find all the three as 1. So all these are connected. So if you remove this, then this is the smallest index that if you remove, that will help you to stop the whatever they are saying, completely removing it.
Right.
I mean,
minimize
to
it.
minimize the
Yeah.
initial. Yeah, that. And same goes with this. You have to plot it and it will be clear. Yeah, so approach in this, like how do you proceed?
So in the second example, you said if the second like one is used, so because one is connected to many nodes, and therefore if you remove one from that list, it will have a least impact.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you approach like?
Yeah. So there are two ways. It's a graph problem, right? So use either a DFS or maybe
Union
use union find. And
Yeah.
but the only part was not very clear, because when you say you run through the initial, so what I was thinking about, you take each and every time one element, one node from that initial, and see how many are infected. So you change the values maybe of that nodes. So how many of them are infected, or count the numbers of infection, and you keep on doing for all of them. So you get to know how many nodes are infected when you are at the end of the list, right? So, and the next time you try to remove one, so how do we do that? So when you remove one, you'll have to keep a track of finding what was the value which was previous when it was removed. Okay. And then you try to find the difference. And because whenever you are inserting, every time you can actually have a value saying, okay, when I'm saying the first node in the initial infects, so I'll just count some value at the end and say, okay, this is my value for one number node. Then I'll go for the second, and then I'll see how much I'm incrementing, how much I'm touching, and then I'll say this is the second, and then third. So I can actually equate and find out which one is having the maximum infection and return that node. And if they are equal, I just go for the previous one.
Yeah. You want to share like?
No, actually, no. I am just thinking loud. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, it's a approach.
Is this problem similar to the critical connections in a network?
In critical connections, you are finding extra edge if you have, like with minimum number of nodes, if you can connect. So if you get extra edge out of it, then you can connect the other ones, right?
So critical connection, are you talking about the articulation point and the bridge?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But that will be a place where we need to find if there is an edge, which if it is disconnected, then only you can have two separate islands, right?
Yeah.
But here actually they are all intermingled. So if my 0th is able to infect some part, I think it will infect the if it is able to touch the second node, then this guy also going to infect the same number of nodes, right? Unless you have an island. Yeah, that might also make sense.
It should.
Yeah. Because if they are connected, it means they both are going to have the same impact, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
so if
that
you have
will impact, no, its neighbor, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So can you explain for an example?
Yeah, sure.
Let me give you the example. It's 110.
Let me get a new screen. Yeah, 110.
Again 110. Then 001.
001.
And the initial is 012.
Huh? I mean, it's a 2D array,
The
right?
initial is, it's a 2D array. The initial is, like this was the graph, right?
Okay.
Now the initial list is 012, like all the three nodes.
So 012, you are saying like this.
Yeah, like all the 3 nodes are already affected. Like initially, all the 3 nodes are affected.
So in that case also 0 will be the return value because it is infecting more, right? And 1 is also infecting the same amount of 0 is infecting, but 2 is infecting only single node, correct?
But
Okay, Ronnie, is my understanding correct? So if you have like for the 0th one, if you start, because it's going to infect 1, 2, and 3, 4 nodes, right? For one number also, it's going to infect 1, 2, 3, 4. And for the second node, it is just going to.
4?
So because it's going to check for all the connected ones, right?
Right.
So if you see on your 0th row and the first column, you have 1. 0th row and the second column also you have 1. And if you see on the first row, okay, and the 0th column, you have 1. So they are connected to each other, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
On the top, and so you can always look for the top, bottom, and left and right, right?
4 directions.
Yeah, 4D.
So they're telling this and this.
Right. So these are all 4 correct. So whenever you have 0 or 1, it is going to come in this island, correct? So, and if you come to 2, then it is a single node which is at the second row and second column. So that is only 1 infected. But I will return value 0 because if you look at 0, you are infecting 4 nodes. If you are infecting looking for 1, it is also infecting 4. But as per the problem statement, I have to return the lesser index when they are same and they are the highest value. So 0 will be the candidate. Right, Shashank? That is what.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of if we replace in the line the row first row, like the 1th row and the 2th row with 1 1 1 and 0 1 1.
1 1. So 0th row. What are you saying?
0th row is same. The first row is 1 1 1.
Oh, so you
And
are
the
saying
last row is 0 1 1.
0 1 1. Okay, so in this case, everyone is connected to each other, right? So any of them will have the same impact. All of the elements 0, 1, and 2.
Okay, and the initial is only 0 and 1 and not 0 1 2.
Okay, so even if it is the initial 0 and 1, so it is going to have they both are going to connect the same number of nodes. Right.
Right.
So therefore the value will
A and
still
B,
be.
right?
Yeah. So as long as whatever the nodes are in the initial, they are interconnected inside the graph, the value is going to be same for them.
What will be the answer in this case?
So it will be 0.
But they are expecting answer 1 in this case.
Okay, let me check. Okay, so you are saying.
In this case, because like the 0th node is connected to the 2th node via 1, right? So if we remove the 0th node, 1 and 2 will be connected. But if we remove the first, like 1th node, then the 0th and 2th node are connected via 1. So if we disconnect 1, then 0th and 2th will not be connected as well.
Okay. Can you repeat what was the input? 1 1 0, right? First. And
1 1 0. And 0 1 1 0 1 1 1.
Okay. And then 0 1.
And then 0 1 1. Right.
And initially 0 1, correct?
Initial is right. That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Initial is 0 1, right?
Right.
This is your initial.
Okay, so sorry. Yeah, that is not what my understanding was. Not that's not the correct one. Yeah. So what are you coming up with, Ronnie?
Actually, I gave the same approach as yours, and it failed on this test case.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking of some like DS, like a find union find. Like for every node we create a graph, but I'm not sure I'm gonna go ahead with that.
Yeah, so union find, what it does is every time when you pick up an initial value, you actually start a fresh union find, and then you see what the connections
Right.
are. And yeah, I think Shashank has the code too, right? So yeah. But when you are actually creating a union find, you don't take into consideration the initial value which you are considering for now, but you find only the connections of the rest of the nodes, which are not a part of the one you have selected from the initial value. And then you group them in some form and see how it is going to impact if you are going to select each one of them. Each of the rest of the ones which are not in the consideration for the initial list. So yeah, okay. So then it comes to that, but yeah, Shashank, you want to share that or?
Yeah, code.
But yeah, I also was very confused about the way they are explaining. But
Clearly, they have not like. I mean, they haven't mentioned it like.
Maybe in this example, like for example, we were discussing when our approach failed, we can, once we have like two nodes which are connected to the same number of members. So in this case, like 0 and 1 were connected to the same. So we were returning 0, right?
Yeah.
So maybe once we are reached at the stage when we have equal number, when we have a node which affects equal number like 0 and 1, then maybe we can compare with like each like the first connection of each node. So like 0 is connected to 0 and 1, which is one external node apart from itself, and then 1 is connected to 0, 1 and 2, which is two external nodes, like a direct connection apart from itself. So in this case, if we remove 1, it will be better.
Okay.
This is like a patch to the approach, like just a fix to the approach. I'm not sure that there might be other cases as well which will fail. I'm not sure about that, but this looks like a patch to this approach.
So what I did, like, I mean, I saw it from the solution itself. So what they did, like, first they did just to get all the connected components using this, what is it, union and find. It's like same standard template, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This
good.
is nothing, but
Okay, yeah. This I did now. It's like we have whatever the end nodes are given to you, like what is it? The length of the graph. Length of the graph will give you like this entire 1, 2, 3. So we are just taking the entire in a set. We are taking the entire range of n, all those, and then subtracting the initial out of it from this set. Like all the good ones you will have. Like from all the nodes, they are subtracting the maligned, you can say. I mean, the infected one. I'll print it and then I'll show you. This is a pure node, right? Like this is the one which is not infected, cleaned one. Yeah. So what I'm doing, I'm just going through UN for every UNV in that cleaned node, and just will pass it to the union function. We'll go here and just again we'll find the parents of it, and if the parents are not equal, like Rx and Ry is not equal, because we'll go here and find and return the parents. If the parents are not equal and the size of the first one is less than your this, then I mean, the same union what we are doing, whichever size is bigger, to that you append the smaller one, right?
Yeah.
And just increase the size of it. This is what we are doing. If the size of Rx is less than size of Ry, just make bigger one the parent of the smaller one and just increase the size of it by appending this size, or else you do the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah, and here is just like after when you did it. Yeah, this is a dictionary I'm creating, a default dictionary. This will take care of how many times that it has been infected. Like what you say, yeah, it's like a dictionary I've created. In fact, I mean, it will take care of the what one number has been infected how many times, zero has been infected how many times. That it will take care of. Now just we are walking through the initial and the clean one. The clean what we have obtained over here, that is 2, and I'm just adding it to our what do you say graph. I mean d of u, and it will again go to the find function and do all those things like union operation. And this is what the moment they find that in d of u that is the infected one, will increase the value by like 1 is connected to 1 and again it is connected to 1, so we'll increase its frequency by 3. And this is like your for every item in that we are visiting, if it's equal to 1, that means what you say it's repeated. I mean, it's the second time you are visiting it, right? So we are increasing the count of that by the size of this and then returning the index of it. If it is not 0, else then what is the minimum of the initial.
Yeah.
I think it's not clear.
So but why the infected times on line 42? I also didn't understand it when I was working on this approach. Why it has to be only considered when it is equals 1? Because it might be more than 1 also when the initial value is bigger, right?
I mean, 1 means that means it's the second time we are visiting it, right? That means already it's duplicated, no?
Oh, okay. So only the initial time you actually look for it.
Yeah, exactly. The next time you find it's duplicated, will be.
Somehow, actually, I'm not very clear about
Yeah,
how it is. Yeah.
I think
So I just went away with that, and then I thought something else, but that is also not so straightforward. But I think what Ronnie was saying, there is something which makes more sense.
Intuitive, yeah.
Yeah, but the solutions are perfectly fine. They're working, but the explanation doesn't match.
I think we'll have to check it.
Yeah, Ronnie, do you have something to share or?
I think is there.
It's not an easy solution, Shashank, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I thought it was a straightforward graph solution. Just look for whatever the infected ones, what I was earlier talking, and then I thought it might be very easy, and therefore, but the real trick is when you actually start removing every one from each other, then actually the things are slightly complex. Yeah.
Well, I tried to find out some more, but no other like resources explaining. And this is like again a mess there. I mean, very intricately they are explaining it. Not that.
Yeah, the solution also is not explained well there. Yeah.
Ronnie is there.
I think he might have. Yeah, he's not active. It seems. Yeah, maybe busy somewhere. No problem.
Okay.
So we'll just end this.
We'll have to check it again. Listen. Okay.
Okay.